I really won't. Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today, I want to do a little bit about changing your mindset about being a first time homeowner. I've been in real estate now for about 4.5 years. And I think a lot of buyers, for want of a better word to say it, is looking at first time home ownership the wrong way. Uh, I think that your first usually of just about anything, especially when it comes to big items, is never going to be your best, your biggest. I was in the car business for a long time. I don't always say that, but I've been in car for 20 years. And one of the things that we used to always try to get people when they're first buying their first car to keep in mind is that your first car might not be an Escalade. It's probably not going to be unless you're just one of the lucky ones who have a lot of money, maybe have somebody who can buy them an Escalade. But usually you start off with that basic car, and then as time goes on, you move up to a newer, better car. You might not start off with a luxury car. You might have to start off with just a regular car. We all know what regular cars are: Toyota, Hondas, Kias, Chevy, all that stuff. The same thing applies. I think the same thing applies to real estate. Here's why. Sometimes when you meet a first-time home buyer for the first time and you talk to them about home ownership, they can only get approved for so much money because of the current situation. And they're not happy with that, understandably so, because we all want to buy the $350,000, $400,000 house. But here's what I mean when I say you have to change. You should. I shouldn't tell anybody they have to do anything. Here's why I think you should change your thinking. You should, first of all, don't want to buy the biggest and best house first time out, because there's a lot of things you're going to learn as you become a homeowner that you probably don't want to maintain a big fancy home for the first time. Your best option, I think, is to buy a home, a nice home. And as a real estate agent, I'm saying this with a caveat, with quotations, in a neighborhood that most people probably will think is not a great neighborhood, but it is one of the neighborhoods that probably is up and coming. It's also not going to be the best house on the block, because your goal as a first-time homeowner should be to get into home ownership. Because once you get in, that's when you can then take all the steps to go even further. So check this out. You buy a house, your first home, $150,000. It's in a part of town that most people would say is not a great part of town. I don't get to decide that. You get to decide that. You live in that house for about 5 to 7 years. Within that period of time, if everything goes the way it normally goes when it comes to real estate, that home is going to appreciate. Real estate, generally speaking, appreciate, give and take, about 4% every year. Okay, so you can do the math. I don't have a calculator. I'm not doing it. But in 4, 5, 6, 7 years, your home would have appreciated. You have paid down the loan, and now you have what you call equity. Equity is where you owe less on your home than your home is worth. You have options then to get to the next bigger house. You can either sell that home, take the equity from the home, and move it as a big down payment on the bigger home. So that way you don't have a big difference in payment when you go from the $150,000 home to the $250,000 home. The other option you might have is get a renter for that property. And at that point, the bank is not going to count that against your debt to income because there's rent coming in that's covering the mortgage. And then you go to the next property and buy your next home. That's how you move from one to next to the next. You might be like, well, I'm just going to save for the next 7 years and then forever how long to buy the home that I really want. Well, there's a great chance that you cannot save faster than your home would have appreciated if you had bought the house in the not so great neighborhood. I don't get to decide that. You do. So that's why I think you should think buyers need to rethink their how they look at being a first-time homeowner. You know, some people can for the first time buy a home that's $350,000, $400,000, whatever it is. But I always try to make this example as well. The guys who get drafted in the NBA, NFL, all this things, when they get that first contract, they buy a home. More than likely, they buy a home. That's not the biggest home they're going to own. When they get the next contract, the big contract, then guess what they do? They go buy the big home. So even people who have money, when they buy, they don't buy the best one they're going to have the first time around, generally speaking. You know, the rookie on a rookie contract, he's going to, if you have good advice, he's going to buy a decent home in a nice neighborhood. But he can't go buy the home that the veteran Patrick Mahomes has, because Patrick's been in the league and he's got the big contract. Now he can buy whatever he wants. But I bet you when he first got in the league, he did not buy the big home he lives in now. Stepping stone. Same thing for home ownership. First time home owners. Get in. You don't have to get in at the top. It's hard to get in at the top in anything. Most of the time, all of us have to get in at the bottom. Sometime when life might allow us to get in the middle. But there's nothing wrong with getting at the bottom and then climb up, because a lot of time, once you're in, it's either to climb up to the top, climb up to the middle, than try to enter in the middle or enter at the top. Unlikely. Is it impossible? No, but highly unlikely that is going to happen. So, again, if you're a first-time homeowner and you're seeing this for the first time, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. You might not be able to buy your first home in Collierville, Germantown, way in the back of Cordova. Your first house might have to be in another part of town where people might consider that to be not a great part of town. But guess what? The way things are going right now, that part of town that's not so great right now has a lot of things coming on the outskirts of it. That before you know it, that home that you paid $150,000 for, because of all the development that's coming around and coming. Let's use South Memphis as an example. Let's say parts of South Memphis, a lot of things happen in downtown that's moving that way. You buy a home in that area, again, nothing's guaranteed. I'm not telling you this is guaranteed to happen, but it's the more likely way to get to the house you really, really want is if you decide to start small, build some equity, work your way up. The other thing to keep in mind too is you might buy a home and find out that, you know what, home ownership is really not for me. It's possible. There's nothing in this world that's for everybody. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then at that point, it's a lot easier to sell a house that's $150,000 than a home that is $350,000, because more people can afford that home. So more likely might be to sell a bit easier, a little bit quicker. So don't look at that $150,000, $130,000 home in South Memphis, Hickory Hill, by the University of Memphis, wherever, and be like, I don't want to live in this neighborhood. Okay, I understand. You got a choice. But starting off in that neighborhood, build some equity, get into the habit of paying a mortgage. It's not renting. Get in the habit of paying a mortgage. And then later on down the road, you have options. You can sell the house, take the equity, move to the next one. Or you can actually take the equity out of the home towards the other property, but don't sell the home and still rent it. So there's options. But bottom line, you have to get in. You have to get in. You have to get in. And don't try to get in at the top. Buy that home in the part of town that a lot of people are saying is not a good part of town. Do your research, see what's going on. And before you know it, instead of you having to save money out of your pocket for 10 years to get to the next house, you buy a house, the house appreciate, you pay down the mortgage. Before you know it, you got $15,000, $20,000 equity. You can then take that to go buy the other house that you want to buy. That's the way you do it. That's why I say, that's what I mean when I say rethink your way, the way you think about first-time home ownership. Do it to get in. Find a home that you can afford. It's not too expensive. It's not going to be in the greatest part of town, but it's going to get you in the door, get your foot in the door, start building equity. And while you're building equity, you can also have a little saving on the side as well. 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you sell the house, move to the next one. But you might also find out that, you know what, this house is just good enough for me. The bigger the house, the more maintenance, electricity, yard work, HOA, all the things. Nothing wrong with that, but those are things you have to consider. Hey, listen, if you see this and you do have other questions about home ownership, what are some of the things you need to do to start your journey towards home ownership before the year is out or in 2026, reach out. I'll be glad to help. My name is Keno Spring. I'm the Vinci Realtor. My number is 901-301-4912. And I'll see you guys next Friday again for another Fact Friday. I try to bring you information. Sometimes I have a guest. That way I can help give you information. That's all it's about, providing information. The more information you have, the better it is for you to make a well-informed decision. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Bye-bye.